I'm very glad to be with you guys and to share this open call in a digital situation. Anyway, this is a very powerful tool, and the digitalization of the world is one of the main topics in this new project for me that is going to be developing specifically to present in Denver in just this specific event. That is more exciting because normally I spend few time to investigate a little bit where my art is going to be displayed and where my project is going to be. And in this case, I spent like, I don't know, 2 months making my own research about the culture, about the relationship between, of course, the Mexican Americans that is called Chicanos in Colorado, but continue my investigation until I decide to study or include very native tribes from the area, that this can be the Apaches or the Utes or the Navajos. In this case, we're going to collaborate with Ute tribes. And so more or less, it's a very deep philosophical topic talking about objects and the objectuality of the reality. I'm not going to do nothing like that because that's going to be another chapter from my dear friend Kearney, that he's going to write a conceptual introduction for the piece. But more or less, I want to explain you what kind of objects and why the objects are important for me. Normally, the human brain try to find the order in the chaotic situations. That's normal, because without the order, or without any suggestion about order, it's kind of impossible to define our situation in a precise context. And in that way, the totems are related with the shape of the tree where they would come from, but is related in different scales and in different layers of the divinity or the sacred animals or sacred things in the ancient cultures in North America. But in that way, the totem is a very public situation, because in that object, the artist or the people from a specific region or a specific tribe can communicate with the other tribes without words or without even the human present. And that's very, very powerful, because we can do our own totems in talking about the contemporary life, and we can communicate each other without any word or any sound or nothing. That's the most powerful signal from a totem. And it's very interesting for me to receive donations or donated objects, because in that way, not all the aesthetic is defined for an artist, because we all together, we're going to define the aesthetic from a public sculptor that is have sense or have more sense for me, because at the end, the public space is for public. That's the main reason that I decide to do this project. I do something similar like 8 years ago in Belgium in a residency that I had the chance to run. And I do this experiment with psychiatric patients from a clinic there. And it was amazing, the dynamic, because they can finally be or feel like they are not, again, part of the society. And it was very helpful for them. And I think we are now in a very tough times talking about the difference, the stupid difference between the races around the world. And the title is referred about that, because I am a human and my race is the humanity. So that's the most interesting part of the title. And of course have another layer, but because the Chicanos call themselves raza, and the raza is referred from the nationality, that is where they don't have nationality because they are not Americans, but they are not Mexicans, so they create Chicano term. And yeah, it's related with my Mexicanity, but more or far from there is related of our race like humans. Yeah, I finished.
That's amazing. And it's a really dynamic topic that our communities are engaging right now. Do you guys have any questions about specific donated objects or the work? How can we help get you involved in this project?
Okay, the most important thing about the donations is the safe for the other people when they come to see the totems. We have a kind of a few suggestions. For example, the big objects or the pointy objects is going to be installed after the 8 feet of height, because in that way you cannot suffer any injury or whatever. But it's really not, I mean, the decision to say if this object is better than the other one is very, it's kind of difficult, because I need to see the object. In this point, you can suggest any kind of object, from a chair to the bike to a rifle to any kind of things. We are not talking about a specific context for an object, because the point here is that the contextualize the objects from a specific environment. And in that way, we are going to cancel the function from the object and try to bring to the objects another function that is more about be a point of communication and an occasion to talk with the other people from Denver, of course, but it's going to be a very powerful flag for the international community. That is, the art can be or can bring horizontality to all the levels. It's not more important the curator or the artist, because everybody's going to be part of the totem. For sure, the knives and weapons and guns, I don't like to include this, because it's very obvious that this project is talk more about the conciliation of our race like humans, and don't generate, I don't know, friction between political position and the other one. But that work I'm going to do with the curator, of course. And but yeah, if you have an idea to suggest a gun or a knife or a scissor, can be tricky. I prefer to have more things like chairs or bikes or complex things, you know, with a huge scale, colorful complexity in the shape. But even, I mean, far from that, you can donate a broom or a shoe or a horseshoe or a ring. It's something like we need to explore, because you're going to see the objects or the totems from very far, from the opposite side than the 16th Street. But in that way, you can come close and close and close, and the texture of the totem is going to be very rich, because I really like to include small things, that cell phones or plastic fruits, and very large objects like kayaks or coffins or refrigerators, things like that. So it's actually very open.